like I do right now. Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off. It's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through him. It's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC with the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Laura, is going to be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an animal immediately comes back with fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Week 6 rages on here in CGL Season 17. Hello, welcome back. We're giving you an NA Masters matchup tonight between Nature's Bloom and EMP, no match found. I am Getzer, and joining me is my good buddy Dexatron. How are you doing, my friend?
Been pretty good. I realized during the last couple minutes that we've been talking here that I don't have my water with me, so it's sitting on my kitchen counter. But we do have a good matchup here tonight. I'll eventually go get that water at some point. Like you said, Nature's Bloom versus EMP, no match found. EMP, no match found, currently sitting in the second spot in Group 1. Nature's Bloom sitting a little bit further down at a 2-3 record, if I am reading right here. Yeah, if I remember correct. But on the other side with EMP, they are 4-1. So one of the better teams here right now. This could be a really good game here, especially if some stuff goes the way of Nature's Bloom, who you have to start talking about playoffs at this point in the season. A win here probably keeps them alive for maybe one of those last playoff spots. A loss doesn't necessarily knock them out, but makes the final 2 games of their season much more important.
Significantly so. And I mean, it's as you say, Nature's Bloom is 2-3, but I think it's important to highlight exactly how they got to that point, because they started really good, right? In their first 2 weeks, they take wins in 3-0 fashion. And then from there, it kind of started to fall apart. They have lost all 3 of their last series 3-0. They have not taken a map since week number 2 of this season, and they are looking to change that tonight. They are a team more than capable of that, as they showed in that first 2 weeks. But, I mean, this is not an easy opponent to be going up against in EMP.
No, it's not. But I think this, like I said, you need to at least have a good showing here tonight. If you don't win, it gives you some confidence going into those final 2 weeks. Hell, if you get the victory here, you're going to be riding that high in those final 2 weeks. But, I mean, hey, this should still be a really good game. EMP, no match found. You talk about here, 14-4 in maps throughout this entire season. So, again, their one loss, who I have to believe it probably came to Dire Triggers, who's undefeated right now, and your champions of the midseason, if I'm reading that, if I remember correctly. Actually, no, it wasn't them.
It was. They lost to Dire Triggers in week 4, and then they lost to Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts in the first round of the mid-season tournament.
Yeah, God, I remember Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts. I remember that team really well. I can't have to explain what that was to someone. I'm tired of doing that at this point. But getting back on topic here, how about we show you guys where we're going to be starting off this week, as has been every match this week in CGL. Our first map of the night will be Samoa.
Indeed, indeed. And I was talking about this on the broadcast yesterday, but Samoa, not the favored control map for sure amongst most of the player base. Usually if there is a decision being made, which doesn't happen here, obviously we do a set map 1 each week, but usually if the decision is being made, it's going to be something like an Ilios or a Lijiang or something to that effect. But Samoa, one of the more recent additions to the map pool, not super recent at this point, it's been like a year and a half, hasn't it? Somewhere in that neighborhood, but
since Malga came out, so almost 2 years.
Since Malga came out, so almost 2 years? Malga's been in this game for that long? Bro.
Almost 3 years, I think.
Almost 3?
Yeah, you have
Bro.
to remember, Malgo was showing off at the final Owl Grand Finals.
Bro.
But
I feel old.
getting away from how fast time flies by, we are getting onto bans right now. EMP gonna have the first one here, and this could be a really interesting one. What do you really look at here? Because I feel like you could always go safe for the tank, but no, a Genji being banned out early. Genji, I mean, getting a little bit more play now, at least at higher levels, but it being banned out first is a surprise to me.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, in yesterday's match, we saw, I mean, like a Bastion May Brawl composition come out on both sides on this map one. So, I mean, either EMP just do not care about that at all, and they just want to get something out of the way so that one of those two DPS gets protected, or potentially we see like something completely different coming out from them. Nature's Bloom, though, I'm very curious to see how they respond to this one. Surely it is a tank ban, because yeah, okay, we're gonna be seeing the D.Va out of the equation right off the bat. This makes sense. D.Va is kind of terrorizing the game right now. She is a very strong character, as it turns out.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of strong tanks right now. D.Va might be just maybe the most mobile of them here, so you want to get them out for a map like Samoa, being that control map where especially taking space is a big part of the game here. But it's going to be interesting to see what we see outside of that. I've been seeing Domina show up a lot recently. Ramatra is there. Sigma is there. I've even seen a little bit of Orisa, and granted, going all the way back to World Cup stuff, that was a Roadhog I definitely did see, and a Rhine, which granted, they did make it look really good when it was played, but I don't necessarily think we're going to be seeing that here tonight. However, these two good bands, but now let's get on to the lineups here. Rhapsody, Father Shell, Adamant, and Withered and Naya going to be starting off here for, I believe that is Nature's Bloom. EMP no match found. Going to have Lux, Mommy, Confined, Sock, and Kiwi.
Yeah, we've got a very solid lineup of players here tonight, and I am extremely excited to see how this one goes. Obviously, EMP comes into this one the favorite, typically speaking, if you look at the record, if you look at the recent match history, but I mean, this is, again, like I said, a Nature's Bloom team that has been in a little bit of a rough patch, looking to get back into the running for playoffs at the end of the season. And potentially, we could maybe see the beginning of a resurgence here. Could be fire.
Yeah, absolutely could, but this is going to have to be a map that they get started off on good. Again, they don't have to win it. They just have to make it look competitive to give them some chance going into the rest of the series. Again, some really one unorthodox ban here with the Genji, I feel like, for this first map. D.Va, though, pretty strong. Looks like, though, we're going to be starting off, and I believe this map is called Downtown. I'm gonna say that. Probably wrong.
I think so. Yes, I think we are in fact on Downtown. Unless this is, of course, a fake out, and this is that one room on the beach. No, I think this is Downtown. I'm not 100%.
We can bring back up the old Friday night or Saturday night Overwatch game of what map is that, and just immediately throw someone off right here, because that one did definitely work sometimes. This is the beach. Oh my goodness. No.
Wait, no, I'm lying. I'm lying.
Stop gaslighting me, Ged. Okay, but quickly, you look at the two teams here. You look at the two teams right now. You have Ramatra coming out for both sides, which is not necessarily the biggest surprise. So you look over at EMP No Match Found. They're not playing that Lucio Kiri backline, which has been so dominant for so long right now. Kiwi's going to be sticking with the BAP, so you're looking at a little bit more of a damage-based backline here, where they're going to be trying to get stuff out pretty early on. Other side, though, Nature's Bloom, you see that standard backline right now, Kiri, Lucio. However, the main difference is that now at those hit scans, where you have to look at Father on... Oh, God, I just realized what I set myself for. Father on the Emre, and Mommy on the Soj.
What a matchup! The parents are fighting here, and so far Mommy's coming out on top here with their first pick on Tanya very early on here. Both DPS for the side of EMP, in fact, finding an early pick in this fight, and now you can just kind of put your Sojourn and your and your Batiste up on the high ground, peppering away at anybody who dares peek them, and that's going to be a pretty easy first fight win for EMP.
Yeah, I mean, it always gets off to a good start when you find the first pick right there, and that's exactly what Mommy did for EMP. Now Nature's Bloom, how do they come back into this next fight? I don't imagine we're going to see any swaps just yet, since that was a really quick fight there for them, but nothing much right now. Rhapsody trying to go after Lux there, not going to be able to do much, and you see Mommy come up for the assist on them. Going to force back this Tracer here for a brief moment, but still, you're going to be looking now as we go over to the other side of the map, where Nature's Bloom looks like they're trying to want to rotate towards the middle side of that point.
They're looking to rotate here, but there's a very fast bit of aggression coming out from the Tracer and the Lucio, just trying to find any damage they can, and Father Shell on this Emery is in so much trouble, but does manage to, at least for now, slip away. No, eventually will be hunted down by the Tracer, and yeah, another definitive fight win here for EMP.
Yeah, and EMP, I mean, this is the exact start that they want here. Again, only one loss on the season, trying to keep it that way. We put a lot more emphasis on Nature's Bloom, having to have this series, maybe go their way in a victory, and even in a loss, at least having some momentum. But right now, they have really struggled to get anything going their way. Rhapsody, though, will have their own pulse bomb ready to go. Same thing for Lux. Outside of that, I really don't see any other ultimate coming online or being used here by either of these teams, considering how fast the fights have gone already. Pulse bomb out there, Naya, though, barely going to be able to keep themselves alive.
I was going to say maybe we see the window come out from Kiwi here. I mean, 82% in building now, and Batiste can charge that one pretty quickly in particular instances, so we'll see how that one pans out. But for now, the only ultimate on the field is that Rhapsody Pulse Bomb. If that connects onto one of these squishy targets, even forces out the Immortality Field from Kiwi, it could be huge, but Lux is going to win out the 1v1 regardless of the existence of that Pulse Bomb. It doesn't even get thrown out, as another fight win will probably definitively go the way of EMP here. 90% in building now, though. There just needs to be an overtime contest here, and Nya is 1 HP. Father Shell goes down. This point should just be overdex.
Well, we get a little bit of an overtime here because of that touch from Naya, but it will be Mommy shutting them down with the overclock, and I think that will be it. You do see Rhapsody trying to get back in, but it will not be in time, as couldn't find them. Gonna be able to help them find their fist right there, and EMP no match found. Gonna be able to take this first point in 100-0 fashion.
And I mean, what can you really even say about that one? Nature's Bloom, it felt like at no point could they even find a way into that one. There was never any momentum from the beginning of that fight. They lose the first pick. They lose out on every single consecutive fight there, and it just felt like they never had any like control over the game. They couldn't engage properly. They couldn't get in on any of these like clean fights. It just felt like EMP was in the driver's seat the entire time.
Oh, it really did. And again, I don't think Nature's Bloom really found any picks there either. I mean, you saw the position coming out for them. Rhapsody and Father Shell try to do a lot by taking flank angles, but EMP no match found was doing just such a good job being able to rotate around, make sure that those flank angles were not necessarily finding any value there. But now this could be an interesting fight here, as you're seeing them go to essentially the workout room here, or the gym, to try to get this first one going, which is a place I'd never really see anyone go.
Yeah, this is a rare location for a fight on this here sub point on the beach, but eventually, I mean, there's still no pick that have gone either way. Eventually, we're going to see the Lucio player, Sock, here going into the backline to try and find an elimination, but it won't be by his hand that the entirety of Nature's Bloom falls, but eventually they will fall nonetheless. The entirety of the squad will likely go down here, except for Rhapsody, who does get away. But at the very least for Nature's Bloom, it took EMP a while to even touch the point. They're only just now capturing.
Yeah, but again, even with losing Sock right there, you still have to look at that as a very good fight there for EMP. They're controlling space. And again, you're seeing Lux, you're seeing Mommy take these flank angles and find value off them very, very quickly. Father Shell now getting off the Emery, going over to the Cassie instead. You have to imagine that's going to be there to try to slow down the Lux now, as they've been a constant problem in the backline. Sock, though, barely staying alive.
Whoa! And despite all of the damage going out there, Onda couldn't find, I mean, gorgeous stuff from Father Shell just to chunk down the Ramatra, but it just is not enough. The follow-up isn't there, and I mean, I'm getting some deja vu here. And yeah, with a very nice pick onto Lux Tracer, but it's just not enough. They need more of these picks, and they need to find them earlier in fights.
they'll get in the one pick right there is a good thing for Nature's Bloom. Again, they've been struggling to find any picks so far throughout this entire map. But look, the ultimate's going online. Lux does have that pulse bomb ready to go, and you're gonna see two other ultimates ready here for EMP. However, with this only being 50% up to the point and already finding Adamant, I don't think you necessarily need to use anything. Pulse bomb will come out though.
Yeah, they don't need to use anything. It's as you say, Pulse Bomb goes out, but by the time the handoff for commentary even happens, the play-by-play doesn't have anything to talk about. The fight's over. It's like, this is a thorough stomping right now.
Yeah, EMP though, I mean, you have to give Nature's Bloom a little bit of credit here. They are trying to make these quicker fights. That's been one thing that's been really adamant for them this entire round here. Have quicker fights, try to get more fights in, because you eventually will be putting yourself into a spot where you will have the better ult economy here. And right now, you could say they do, as they're coming up to maybe 3, 4, all 5 of their ults. However, EMP can have 4 of their own, and they're already starting off with the overclock.
Yep, overclock out. Mommy looking for one of these headshots that can just put this seal on the fight here, but it's not even going to be necessary. 94% in building now for the side of EMP, and they're just going to be able to walk away with this fight so easily. Adamant barely is able to charge up that annihilation, but not even close to being able to use it. This was a thorough trouncing here on Samoa.
And a great start for EMP. Again, they keep their winning ways up here, and this is exactly what you're looking for if you're them. You talked about them being, can probably consider the favorite coming into this one here, and that's exactly what they should be doing in a match like this. This is a really good start for them. Nature's Bloom, again, not the best start you were looking for. Yeah, like I said, coming into the map, even if you lost, you're looking for some positives to take away from it. It's hard to find those positives. I believe they maybe only had 3, 4 picks maybe throughout the entire map. So there's still a lot to improve there for Nature's Bloom, but this is a long series. Still at least 2 more maps ahead of us, or as most as, well, maybe 4 or 5 if we somehow get a draw somewhere. But, I mean, still, if you're talking about just dominant maps, that was a definitely dominant map coming out there from EMP.
Yeah, it's hard to find any other words to use to describe it. Dominant is just about as succinct as you can get in this particular instance. So, I mean, Nature's Bloom, obviously on a pretty major back foot here, but if they can start to turn it around, it's with their own map pick, and I am very curious to know where they go, because I think, if I was not mistaken, okay, these guys, they on their team sheet, they do say that Flashpoint is their favorite map type, and I'm actually particularly interested in this, because over in the favorite map section, they have New Junk City listed as their favorite Flashpoint. So, that wouldn't shock me at all. It also wouldn't shock me to see a King's Row. Everybody just likes to default to King's Row sometimes. In fact, our team, Zybras, down in Diamond, we occasionally like doing that every now and then, just going King's Row because it's familiar, it's comfortable. But, I mean, it's linear. Everybody knows it, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be a difficult battle.
King's Row would make a lot of sense here, especially, but like you said, I feel like taking us to a Flashpoint map would be smart as well. However, you're just basically playing the same mode as you just had right there, where you really struggle to get anything going there, and that point captures a lot quicker than what it does there in Control. So you'd be putting yourself maybe in a spot where you're still trying to force those quick fights, and maybe...
Okay.
Maybe find those quick fights there a little bit faster here, but you're still putting yourself into a spot where you could potentially lose out on those fights just as fast, maybe putting yourself behind the 8 ball even more.
Yeah, it's a difficult way to get back into this one, and I mean, it remains to be seen where they go, but I mean, Flashpoint, Hybrid, any of these could potentially be the answer here. And we're back, everybody. We're back from the void. You love to see it. I don't know what that was. Huh?
I'm still there.
Oh, that's true. You do live in the void. That's true.
Your name's not even there yet, so you're still technically not real.
That's true. That's true. I don't exist. Who am I? I'm a guy. We know that. There we go. I'm Getster. Hi, everyone. I'm Getster. It's very nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, but again, right now, you're going to have to be looking at this next selection here, as we do know what the map is here for Nature's Bloom. So, yeah, we do know what the map will be. And, Ged, I think you called it right. I'm going to wait for the graphic to come up before we necessarily speak about on it a little bit more. But you did call it right about what you would maybe expect to see from Nature's Bloom. Is now, as the graphic comes up, you called it correctly. Watchpoint and New Junk City gonna be the name of the game for them here. Their favorite map. However, like I said, I think you're gonna be running the same problems that you did last map there on Samoa. You're playing basically Control 2.0, where you're gonna be having to capture these points really quickly, and they're gonna be counting up even faster.
Now the next question from me comes up as, what do you even ban here if you're Nature's Bloom? Because I don't think there was a single, like, character pick that was a particular thorn in your side during that previous one. I think you were just kind of, as much as I hate to say it, I think you were just a little bit outclassed going into that one. So what even is, like, the approach here, do you think?
Well, there's two options you could look at right here, because you have to remember what EMP played and what the differences were. EMP, they played that BAP and they played the Soj. Those are the big differences there. Hit scan for Nature's Bloom, you saw the Cassidy and then you saw the Emre. So they might be trying to keep something around there, or you get rid of the BAP here and try to force that mirror with that Lucio Kiri that Nature's Bloom was playing that entire first map. However, you could go over to the DPS line and just say, well, let's get rid of Soj. Force the hit scan to play either the Cass, either their own Emre, maybe a Freya. So there's options there. I don't necessarily see them going after tank, and no, it is going to be the Soj coming out here. And you have to remember, Mommy was doing a really good job that first map on the Soj.
Indeed, they were. Sojourn, I mean, it's almost inarguable that Sojourn is, like, the preeminent, like, hit scan right now. Like, the biggest threat on the battlefield. Except, I mean, maybe some would argue Emre. And maybe that's what they're leaning into here, because obviously they rolled out on the Emre in that previous match, and that just, if nothing else, says that they're comfortable on that hero. So getting rid of the Sojourn does make a lot of sense. We're also going to be seeing a Zarya ban here, so map 1 Diva, map 2 Zarya. Makes a lot of sense to see both of these characters get taken off the board relatively early in the series, because, I mean, these tanks, these two tanks in particular, it feels like, have been extremely oppressive in recent patches.
Yeah, absolutely, but you still have to go back to last map and just look at how oppressive the Ramatra was for EMP. I think getting rid of Zarya here maybe allows you to play your own Diva back in, but we will have one sub coming in here for Nature's Bloom. Father will be backing out. Basil will be coming in here on that hit scan, so the parents are no longer fighting anymore, Getzer.
Parents are no longer fighting. I'm sorry. That was just very funny. But yes, Basil does come in here, and hopefully her hit scan prominence is just a little bit more effective, because, I mean, we saw how much work Mommy was putting in on the previous map, and Basil coming in, she could potentially be the answer that Nature's Bloom is looking for here. We will have to wait and see, but overall, substitutions being made, it tells me that they're not, like, entirely giving up quite yet.
Oh, absolutely. Well, also considering Nature's Bloom only has, I believe, the one sub. But, I mean, you have to be looking at it like this. You're still probably not going to expect to see anything wild. Adamant does have their main, or at least their favorite hero as Doomfist. You could definitely see that come out here. I feel like you'd be going up into a really, really tough uphill battle. But the Zarya being banned out, does that mean we see more Ramatra? Do we see the Diva back in play this time? Because remember, it was banned out map 1 by EMP, and then immediately, or by actually Nature's Bloom, EMP comes right back and bans out the Zarya, which is a really strong hero for this map, and maybe one that you would use to counter out Ramatra. You have to remember, back about a year and a half ago, when Zarya was first starting to get a little bit of the spot in the meta, you saw a lot of teams immediately going over to match that Ramatra, or play the Ramatra to try to counter them out here. But no, you see both teams actually leaning towards the Junker Queen here, which does make sense. I think Junker Queen and Flashpoint go hand in hand together again. They came out at the same exact time, so it works for that reason there. But you do see both teams running that standard backline right now of Kiri, Lucio. Rhapsody, though, if they stick on this venture, I like it as a little bit of a out there flex DPS pick, because it's one where you kind of know you're going to be able to do a lot, but you're mostly just going to try to be pushing the enemy team back into your own team here. But right now, actually, a double flex DPS coming out here for Nature's Bloom. EMP's got to be ready for this one here.
Yeah, they are going to need to be extremely careful about playing around this one. Fortunately, they do have Mommy rolling out on the, oh my god, on the Cassidy. I mean, Lux on the sideline, just immediately making this feel a lot like map 1 felt like. Basil, right off the bat, the swap in for the Tracer, it doesn't appear to be working in the immediate first fight here. And Rhapsody is the next player to go down. Hold on, though. Basil comes back and manages to find Find So at very least, they are down their tank, and it is going to be a lot easier to win out a fight here when they are down a tank. Basil also getting their get back on Lux. Getting back onto the point here, and that should actually be a first capture for Nature's Bloom.
Sock, though, did their best just to stall it out there for as long as it could. But yeah, eventually will be Nature's Bloom getting the first cap here. Off to a much better start already. Mommy, though, going to be able to shut down Basil again. And you do see Couldn't Find back into the fray here.
Shout out to the Fusion skin, by the way. That's my team, baby. Anyway, Rhapsody goes down early in the fight here, thanks to a very well-placed flashbang from Mommy. And keep in mind, by the way, EMP building up to a lot of ultimates very quickly. Pulse Bomb online. The Deadeye very close to being online. And that Kitsune Rush, possibly most importantly, 93% in building as EMP get their first split.
And you already see a trade coming out there here as Couldn't Find going to be able to find Adamant. You do have ultimates coming online for both teams, but I mean, right now, I think if you're Nature's Bloom, you kind of just have to fall back, wait for your own Junk Queen to get back into the fray because they're so close to a Rampage. But you look over the other side, like you said, almost all 5 ultimates ready to go for EMP. 4 ultimates going to be ready for Nature's Bloom this fight as well, so this could be a pretty heavy ult fight here. Yeah, you just have to be waiting for the first one to be thrown out.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to who is going to be pulling the trigger on their ultimate first here. Surely, you would expect it to be like one of these Rampages, but they have to be so careful. Both of these teams running back Kiriko. That Suzu could just cleanse away everything the Rampage does, but the first beat is going to be popped 9. Yeah, out goes that Rampage that I was fully expecting. Rhapsody is going to be one of the first victims of the fight as a result, but at very least they do manage to go 1-for-1 on the DPS line until Lux manages to find another one on Dinya. Another Rampage now goes out though. This time Couldn't Find is going to be the target of that one. Potentially falling very low here, but the Shout's going to keep him alive for just a little bit longer, and the fight will go in EMP's favor eventually. A couple more contests will roll through Nature's Bloom, but eventually this should just go to EMP.
Rhapsody does have this Tectonic Shock online. They could use it to maybe flip this fight in their control. They will use it. They will find one, but I mean, it'll be traded right out there by Mommy. So a good start here for EMP again, but I think this is a much better start when you compare to last map for Nature's Bloom. You saw him take fights, saw him really make fights very, very close. Basil, I think, has come in and really added that spark to this team, and Rhapsody on this venture, I think, is doing exactly what you wanted to do so far. However, you use that Tectonic Shock. Like I said, maybe if you used it a little bit earlier, you might have been able to find some value on it. Now, though, you're down to no ultimates. Well, EMP, well, they're going to have 4 coming up into this fight.
Yeah, it's already looking really rough for Nature's Bloom here, just in terms of the ultimate economy. Very, very early pressure on Dinya, but is saved out by the Kiriko, by the Suzu, and it doesn't matter. Couldn't Find with a solid 4K, hitting the Tracer with that ultimate as well, but, I mean, Basil just has to run away with her tail between her legs right now, and EMP with another first cap, their first of this map, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're Nature's Bloom, you're not necessarily mad about that fight. You had no ultimates going into it. You got 3 out from the other side. Like, that was as good of a fight as it possibly could have gone for you losing that round. Hey, you're in a good spot right now, though, as you're going to have your own Pulse Bomb here, and Withered should not be that far away from their Kitsune Rush, but Basil, again, they've been the spark plug for this team, this map.
Oh, but I mean, the speed boost on the Deadeye, and Mommy gets 2 off the back of that one, and another 1 off of the beautiful shot onto Withered. And, I mean, with Adamant also going down here, this one's hopeless for Nature's Bloom. A good opening pick, but it's simply not enough. Nature's Bloom still on the back foot.
Still on the back foot, but they are coming up to 3 really good ultimates here, while the only thing that EMP could potentially have is that Kitsune Rush from Kiwi. But right now, if you're Nature's Bloom, you have to be trying to get this fight dragged towards point, but you're really struggle with that here this map, as EMP has been doing a really good job at playing these chokes so far. However, they're going to be going through main choke right now, just rushing to try to get the point.
Yeah, they got to get there, and they got to get there quick. 99 in building. There is an overtime trigger. Basil throws out the Pulse Bomb, but it's not going to connect onto anyone. The Rampage goes out as well, only connecting onto one player, though, who does get cleansed in the immediate aftermath. Another fight where the support go down early, though, for Nature's Bloom. It's just the Tracer left standing, and Basil simply cannot do enough against all 5 players of EMP. Only takes down Mommy en route to an 0-2 scoreline.
Yeah, and again, EMP, I think they're just playing really smart right now. They're playing very safe. Nature's Bloom, they did throw out the Rampage and the Pulse Bomb there and didn't find anything off it. Those are ultimates that you really need to be able to win the fight with here. You will have double support ultimates coming up here soon for them, but you look over at the other side, Pulse Bomb, they're another Rampage from Couldn't Fight, and Sock, well, I was going to say have a beat, but they're no longer in this fight.
Yep, no longer a factor here, and Adamant also finding a clean shot there on the Couldn't Find, so... Yep, the team gets cleaned up. EMP, they finally go down. They finally lose out a fight definitively here for the first time since our first point. And now Nature's Bloom, they have the first capture. They have Rhapsody over on this May now instead of the Venture. Just deciding that, no, not going to work out on that previous character. So trying something a little bit different.
I like the May pick. It's really going to section off some members of EMP. Has Adamant already find Sock, but we saw it there in that last engagement. They sectioned off, couldn't find a way from the rest of their team. Pulse Bomb, though, from Lux immediately evens the fight.
2 picks out of nowhere, seemingly, but it is a 2-for-2 trade. There is pressure on the point here, and it's not definitive either way, but eventually, with players going down on the side of Nature's Bloom, this does just feel like a situation where they're just going to have to stall this one for as long as possible. And they do get to 57%, and that's a pretty good amount of percentage to have gained. But now they have to do something that they haven't done this entire series so far, and that's retake the point.
Yeah, but you look what they're coming up to with here. They're going to have Beat, they're going to have their own Rampage, and another Blizzard, which is going to be, I think, a really big ultimate here for them. However, EMP, they're going to have their own Beat and a Deadeye from Mommy, which, again, found 2 last time, and they played it very aggressively. I think this is an ultimate where, hey, wait, no longer there. Adamant, I think you really start to see the Nature Bloom team kind of get comfortable, not only in the map, but in this series. They're looking a lot better than what we saw them in map 1.
Most certainly, this is a more composed team, for sure. But at this point, it's just a matter of keeping alive, despite... Oh, there's so much pressure that goes in onto that Lucio, and it's simply overwhelming not to use the sound barrier that early in the fight, which I think was the correct call. The problem just then becomes that you don't have the tools you need. Fortunately, your Rampage hits onto 3 players, but there's no pick off the back of it. Sock very nearly goes down, but very nearly isn't enough when you need the point this quickly. 94% in building now. EMP, they have tools to keep the enemy team off the point here. Nature's Bloom, they have to go over to Adamant on Doomfist in order to even have a hope of contesting. But an Ajax from, being too far away, I mean, this is another definitive map win for EMP.
Yeah, definitely a definitive map win for them, but I think this was a much better map there for Nature's Bloom. Like we talked about throughout the entirety of it, even though they weren't able to take a point, they were able to take fights. They looked a lot better this time around. I think they're warming up into this series. However, now with their backs against the wall, you have to be playing at your best the rest of the time here. But again, just another great round here from EMP as, again, they're looking like a well-oiled machine here. Very in sync right now, which is especially at this point in the season where you want to be at. And EMP looking to try to make sure that one loss they had earlier on the season is the only loss they have going in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's looking really good for them so far. And I mean, the big problem that I see right now for Nature's Bloom is that you've just picked your favorite map in the entire game, and you still got 3-0'd on it. So even if you're warming up now, maybe it's just not enough. If that's your most comfortable map, then we could be seeing a potential sweep here coming out from EMP, but we'll have to wait to see if that is the case, because we are going to be going to a quick break. When we come back, potentially the final map of the series, but maybe the beginnings of a reverse sweep. Stay tuned.
crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Carpe diem. Carpe diem.
We're back, everybody. Map 3 is incoming. We're going to be going to Dorado up next here, and I like this pick, honestly. The one thing I'm a little confused about is the fact that obviously both of these teams, especially like Nature's Bloom, seem to be big fans of the Junker Queen, and that's not going to be a character you're really looking to play on Dorado. You want something like the Diva, like the Winston, maybe even the Ball if you're feeling spicy, but something that can at least approach and contest the high ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're bringing us to this map here because maybe you want to play a little bit of dive, at least on those first 2 points, and then swap over to something a little bit more brawly, which, again, Diva was banned out by Nature's Bloom that first map, so they could have an option here to maybe ban out Tank. They will have first bans as well, if I remember correctly. But again, I think right now, if you're Nature's Bloom, you looked a lot better that last map. Actually, no, it's going to be EMP with the first ban here. My bad. You looked a lot better last map for your Nature's Bloom. You have to be able to carry that into this map here. Well, yeah, you didn't win last map and you didn't get a point, but you looked a lot better. I think this is the time where you finally put it all together here.
I think there's a solid chance of that for sure. So it remains to be seen what the bans will be, but I think they're going to be very indicative of how this map plays out here. Obviously, as you say, EMP, they are the team with the first ban here. I mean, they haven't seen... Last time they had first ban, I should say, they went with the Genji, and Genji didn't come out to play on the second map when he was floated, so maybe just a little bit of one of those, like, you know, throwaway bans. You protect your DPS line, and you ensure that you have more useful bans for later in the series. But now at this point, you may want to start actually utilizing them, because, I mean, if you can ban away something that the other team is very, very comfortable playing, then it's like, what are they going to do about it? And it will be the Venture in this case, so not, I don't think that's a bad ban considering the amount of Venture we saw in the early parts of New Junk City from Nature's Bloom.
Yeah, I think it might have been something that actually threw them off their guard a little bit. That double flex DPS line worked very, very well for them, especially when they went over to the Mei. I'm surprised we're not seeing more of a Mei ban, especially on this map where choke points are very, very hard to get through at some points. But I think Venture is a good way to go. Now, Nature's Bloom, where do they go after? Wow.
Wu Yang.
Wu Yang.
Okay, interesting. Wu Yang is one of those heroes we haven't seen in this particular series, but that is not because the character is particularly bad. It's just because I think he gets outshined by, you know, some of the other characters in that main support category, maybe even the flex support category. What does he even fall under, man? I don't know. This character's weird. Anyway, you slice it, though. Not going to be here for Dorado, so...
Yeah, not going to be here for Dorado. I think right now, Wu Yang definitely does have a spot in the meta. Not necessarily as strong as Lucio Kiri, as we mentioned that already, but you definitely have seen a lot of teams actually kind of gravitate towards playing him on certain maps, certain poke maps. And maybe that might be what you're trying to see Nature's Bloom make sure that we don't make this map into a little bit of a pokey map, where we have seen the hit scan for EMP Molly just kind of take over at some points and not be able to miss shots. So you want to be able to try to force them off a little bit of the poke, but still, you can still play Valkyrie into that back line for poke as well. But I think that you're going to see a lot of dive here coming out. And if not, it would be actually surprising me just going right back to what we saw the last map and the map before with mostly Brawl.
Yeah, distinct possibility for sure here. As a reminder, we're going into Dorado. This might be my favorite payload map in the game right now. I adore this map. It's been around for a long time. Everybody knows how to play it, and it's literally just going to be one of those very standard ones that a lot of teams are comfortable with. And so far, it kind of seems like EMP, they're rolling out on something we've seen, I mean, from other teams for sure, but really the only similarity we've seen in this particular series is the Lux Tracer.
Yeah, looks like looks like Nature's Bloom's asking for a pause even before the map could start here, but you do see the differences right now with the composition. Both of them running dive. However, you do look at the backline there for EMP. I think that's as traditional dive backline as you could possibly get on that on the Brig Ana. Something you don't see that often unless you're really hard committing into the dive, and it seems like that's exactly what they're wanting to do here. That even though I think he's going to have a little bit of time against Adamant on the other side, who had a much better map last map. Hell, everyone there for the Nature's Bloom team had a much better map compared to map 1. And I think it's going to be very difficult for them to go up against that Winston on that side, because Adamant might be able just to kind of demech that D.Va pretty soon, because you have to remember that defense matrix does not and cannot stop anything coming from that Tesla cannon.
Yeah, beam damage pierces through that, as we all know here. That's why, you know, D.Va might have a little bit of a hard time into a character like the Winston, like the Zarya, maybe even like the Symmetra every now and then. But doesn't seem like we're going to be seeing a whole lot of Symmetra in this particular series. I am very curious to know if the DPS line for EMP is going to be sticking to that the whole time, because obviously we've seen the Tracer the entire time, but that Ashe is a very interesting pick. With Sojourn still on the board, typically you would see, I mean, Ashe, you know, kind of gets sidelined, right? Because she's good, but Sojourn is just so oppressive that you would typically see her more. I also think that Overclock is a slightly better ultimate than Bob is in the current state of the game, but anyway you slice it, could be an interesting hit-scan matchup for sure.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right about that. I think this is one of the maps where Ashe actually does find a decent amount of value, especially on the defensive side. Bob can be used more as a stall tactic than anything else here, but you do look at the other side for that DPS line. You have Rhapsody on the Echo, a hero that's been getting a lot more play as of late, and Basil almost getting taken out very early on. They'll be playing their own Soj here for the start.
Early damage coming out for sure, and Lux on this Tracer, I mean, what a menace. Already up to 30% of that pulse bomb, just pumping so much damage into the back line of Nature's Bloom, but not finding any purchase, no picks quite yet for this Tracer. Being forced out of position by that Sojourn fairly early as well, and forced to recall eventually. So, nothing quite yet. Maybe off the back of this D.Va dive, but no, the Kiriko is there to keep alive that Sojourn, and eventually Nature's Bloom elsewhere on the map are going to be able to find the first couple picks of the map.
But now you need the rest of Nature's Bloom to be able to get out alive. Couldn't find, needs to be able to stay in the mech, not going to be able to do that here. So that's a huge little D-mech there for Nature's Bloom, as honestly, Mommy pushing up a little bit far here. Eventually couldn't find Will Fall, but Mommy finding Withered out.
Wow, okay, very impressive there from Mommy. Eventually will be punished for the hubris, but I mean, it took a while to take that Ashe out of commission. They did do it eventually, but I want to point out, Adamant was on like less than 100 health for most of that previous fight, but they managed to stay alive, they managed to keep it going, and they managed to get this cart almost to the very end of this point. Eventually, a fight should break out here, and with Sock going down so early, Rhapsody on this Echo putting in so much work for the side of Nature's Bloom at the moment, surely this should spell a first point capture.
It should, unless Lux has something to say about it, as I believe that the only player still alive here. Couldn't find, though, gonna have to use the bomb here, gonna be able to get back into the mech. No, they're not. Adamant does find them, and Lux will fall as well. This is the exact start that Nature's Bloom was looking for, and they won that point there without the investment of an ultimate. Couldn't find, had to use the bomb there, trying to keep themselves alive, but I like what we're seeing here from Nature's Bloom. They're just going right after that back line here. Couldn't find. They're just aggressing too far forward. I think this back line's gonna need to make some swaps here, as you already see Sock fall.
Already the Brig out of the equation, as you say here, but I mean, it's definitely not an unwinnable fight for the side of EMP. Despite losing out on that one, they do manage to get Rhapsody out of the equation. Adamant is falling very low and will eventually be punished. But that cart is still moving forward little by little. They managed to get about 34 meters before the rest of these squishier players are forced to back away. And Diva's going forward here, but Adamant's about to be back in the fight. And she's going to be able to punish this Diva for pushing this far forward if she stays here.
But you have Lux up here with Couldn't Find, and there's just immediately fall back right up to this high ground, which is where you will see them probably just standing for the majority of this time. Nice dive coming out there, though, from the entirety of that team, and Mommy taken out early.
Yeah, I mean, gorgeous placement of the dive onto the Ashe there, and another gorgeous usage of that ultimate. The Kitsune Rush is perfectly placed there from Withered. The big problem now becomes that fight really only netted you one pick, maybe two, and now it's just a matter of getting as much distance as you can before this next fight breaks out.
Yeah, but this is the thing, EMP, this has been the worst start they've had so far. The Nano being invested on the Couldn't Find. You need to be able to find someone with this as they just go chasing after Basil.
Yep, they count down Basil. Run her for her foams in that particular instance, and now both of the DPS for Nature's Bloom go down, despite the fact that they get the pick on the Sock. Surely this couldn't be a one fight, but hold on a minute. Both of the supports for EMP off the table now. 76% of this Pulse Bomb is Lux, so you have to be very, very careful of that. But yeah, eventually it is another fight win for EMP.
And you needed that there. Just because of how far that card is pushed up, that time bank, 2.5 minutes, you need that fight to go your way. Nature's Bloom, they're going to come into this next engagement with 2 ultimates ready to go from the start. Same thing could be said here for EMP, but I'm really looking at Couldn't Find's ultimate. It's really just a remake tool. Sock and Lux, though, showed up there early on, but Basil, again, this has been a spark plug player for this team ever since they came in last map, and so far, this entire Nature's Bloom team looking a lot better again. They've been getting better throughout this entire series, but Mommy shutting down Naya.
It's a 1-for-1 trade, though. With Lux out of the equation, that means that there's no Pulse Bomb for the side of EMP, and that is potentially one of their most important tools here. The real question now becomes, can you punish this Diva, or will she manage to stay alive despite it all? The punish is eventually going to come through, and the D-Mech does happen. She does go down. The card's moving a little bit backwards right now. Nature's Bloom, they've got to get onto this one. They got to get onto it quick, because they've only got a minute and 38 at this point.
Yeah, I don't think they realized how far back that card actually had moved there. They were not in one-fight territory, and they're still playing this one very slow. Hell, they're still not even pushing the card. Mommy, though, I think is a big benefactor to that, as now the Bob coming out here just to stall the card even more.
Yeah, at very least, you do take the Ashe out of the equation, but now you have to deal with the 1200 HP turret on the point that contests it for so long, and I mean, it just continues to get worse and worse for Nature's Bloom as time goes on, because despite the fact that they looked good, they were winning fights, they just don't get any distance on the cart off of it.
And it rolled a long way back, about halfway through the entire point now, but look at Nature's Bloom, 4 ultimates ready to go, never mind, make that 3 ultimates ready to go. EMP now, they're going to have 3 ultimates here online. Mommy, they'll need to really stay alive, as this has been a player that's been able to hit shots so far this map, and one that I think is really playing around both Kiwi and Sock, who had to give the Nano over to Sock to keep them alive here.
Raid Boss activated. Both the Nano and the Rally expended in that fight to keep the support line alive there, but it is still going to be 1-for-1 trades here. Kiwi eventually is taken out of the picture. And Sock down as well. Adamant in the backline on this Winston doing such a great job, but eventually is shut down by the Diva. 20 seconds now remaining, and the cart still has not moved past 72 meters.
Yeah, and now they're basically just committing these last couple fights here on this push, even if they get the second point, to just being point fights or cart fights. And I think EMP is in a much better spot here. Mommy, though, falling early to Basil, and Rhapsody going to be able to find Lux is huge. However, Rhapsody's counter or just shut down. The beat out here, I think, too early from Naya.
It's way too early. It's far too early. I mean, the Diva's just able to get away from it just by, like, looking up and boosting in the opposite direction. The beat basically ends up doing nothing in this particular instance, so that is such a crucial misstep from Nature's Bloom. Now, they do still have potentially this overclock to work with, though. That could be the turning point for Nature's Bloom. If they're able to get a pick or two off the back of that one, it could be massive. Rhapsody also coming up on a duplicate, but not going to be able to charge it before going down. Basil finds Kiwi before... Oh. And yeah, there's just no contest. Adamant goes down, your point presence is gone, and hey, at least they got past 72 meters, but only by a tiny, tiny bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, a good start to that round for Nature's Bloom, basically picking up right where they left off last map, where, yeah, like I said, they didn't win it, but they looked a lot better, and still, you saw them play a lot better this round as well. However, once they got stalled out, it seems like that's kind of around the point where, well, they themselves stalled out as well. They were playing very weird. We talked about the cart just kind of falling back a little bit. Normally, you want at least put one person on it, at least to keep the pressure around that capture point, and you just saw EMP. Once that cart fell back, you saw the space they were taking. They were able to play a little bit more free, a little bit spaced out. Yeah, Kiwi and Sock probably had a nightmare that round as Adamant and Rhapsody, I think, were basically gunning them down almost every single fight, and it really worked out well for them. But I don't think you're going to be able to do that now on the defensive side, where you know kind of where EMP's support line was going to be at all times. This time around, they're going to be all over the place. I'm not going to believe you here, Sock, on that Mercy. But outside that, you do see Couldn't Find get off the D.Va, going over to their own Winston. Like I said, I thought the D.Va was going to really struggle into Adamant's Winston last round. I think it really did for the most part. You really saw Couldn't Find get the most value when they were focusing outside or focusing away from Adamant on the other side. But at the same point, normally when that happened, you saw Adamant diving on the backline, getting rid of both Kiwi and Sock.
Yeah. And it is, as you say, the Mercy is not a real pick. We're going to be seeing a run back of the support line that EMP was running throughout their entire defense here of the Ana and the Brigitte. And frankly, just outside of that D.Va pick that you mentioned, it's not going to be it's going to be the same exact composition the whole way through. Adamant is going to be the first to fall in this fight, and that is not good. That is very, very bad news for the side of Nature's Bloom. Despite the fact that Basil is able to find Lux elsewhere in the fight, it's just going to be Mommy on this Ashe, who puts in so much damage, finds so much value, and eventually leads to a fight win for EMP.
Yeah, but now you will have Adamant coming back, and they should have be there in time to get a touch. You have Naya there with them as well. No ultimates are really going to be online here early on, but you immediately Couldn't Find just go up and take that space where they know that Adamant's going to be forcing them back and just really forcing the suicide onto the cart.
Yeah, forces out the suicide contest, and I mean, it's going to be little more than that. Only a couple more people are going to contest, but they're not going to last a whole lot longer than Adamant did. EMP, they are 75 meters away, and they've got 5 minutes to make it there.
Yeah, again, a lot of time. However, we can see exactly what EMP did in Nature's Bloom last round. Find one fight, slow it down, and just dictate the pace of the game through there. Basil is going to be able to shut down Lux, who, I mean, honestly, since Basil's come in, Lux has not had the best of maps here. Though Basil, again, like I said, has been a spark plug for this team, someone who's been very consistent.
Extremely consistent. In fact, I would argue the highlight for Nature's Bloom so far in maps number 2 and 3, but it remains to be seen if that's going to be enough. 4 minutes and 40 seconds now remaining, and they've already made it more than halfway to that golden box of victory. Couldn't Find going down is a hindrance to them for sure, but I mean, they've already got a very, very solid start to this push.
A 1-for-1 ult trade there, as Bob did come out from Mommy, Deadeye did come out there from Basil, which I understand the use of the ultimate. You were able to find one and you end up winning the fight. Maybe one you would want to hold on to, but hey, you won the fight, so you'll gladly take that right there. EMP, though, they're going to have 3 ultimates pretty early on in this fight, while Nature's Bloom, they're going to play smart here for a brief moment. Get both those support ultimates online, waiting for these 3 really strong ultimates from EMP to come out.
And there's the Nano. Iwi going to be pulling the trigger very early on this one, and Basil will be the first victim of this fight. The duplicate of Rhapsody won't last much longer either, and that could be the beginning of the end for our match here today. Nature's Bloom simply cannot stay alive on this point for very much longer, especially not after losing out on at 95% towards that sound barrier. It is rough out here for Nature's Bloom, and with losing your support line, losing the Adamant, losing Tracer, surely this should just be over. But the beat does finally come out from Nya, connects onto both himself and Rhapsody, but Rhapsody can't make use of it to stay alive for very long. There won't be a pick from this Genji. There won't be a consistent recontest from basically anyone on Nature's Bloom. They do manage to make it back, and Adamant does have the primal rage, though. A couple punches from this Winston could turn the tide of this fight. especially with Kiwi and Sock out of the picture. All damage done to EMP right now is going to be permanent, so it seems like, out of nowhere, Nature's Bloom may have just bought themselves a slightly better chance at holding on for a little bit longer.
Mommy, though, taking this off, I'm going to be able to find Nye here now, focusing on Adamant, and that should be it here. A good late contest there from Nature's Bloom, but not enough for them to get back into this map. EMP get to continue their winning ways here, moving to 5-1 on the regular season, and with a good 3-0 victory here tonight.
Yeah, very well played to them all around here. And I mean, when you are one of those teams that, like, you know, is at the 5-1 record now, but didn't do super well in the mid-season bracket, you're very happy to take a 3-0 win in this particular week because it puts you in such a good spot in terms of getting into those playoffs, potentially having a better seeding in those playoffs. So you do really love to see it if you're EMP, but I mean, for Nature's Bloom, it's once again back to the drawing board. This is now 4 consecutive matches for them without a single map win. You really do hate to see it. Here's hoping for better luck in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you do hate to see it. This does look like a team that figured something out during this game, during this series here tonight, and they looked better as it went on, just weren't able to get over the hump. I hope they're able to carry on to the next week, even with this loss here tonight, and play at that up to this performance we saw map 2 and map 3, where a lot of those points were very close at times. They were taking fights. They looked a lot more coordinated, but it's just enough time there for EMP to kind of make some slight swaps, start playing a little bit differently, and then you saw them come right back into both those rounds, especially on Dorado, and be able to shut them down. Again, though, I think this Nature's Bloom team, I'll have a lot to look forward to in their final 2 games of the regular season because, hey, if you win them, there's a good chance you might be able to sneak yourselves into the playoffs. And at that point, hey, you're in the playoffs. You never know what might happen.
There's always a chance for sure. There's 100% a chance. We are going to be going to a quick break, but when we come back, we will, I imagine, have an interview from a couple members, maybe just one member of EMP, No Match Found, our winners tonight. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And it's true, then it just makes it more beautiful of a thing.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Straight new wave. Name straight new wave. way.
And we are back, everybody. We have James, the manager of EMP, and Lux, the Tracer player, Flex DPS player for the team, here with us for the interview this evening. How are you fellas doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm also doing pretty well.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Congrats again on the victory. Now, one of the first questions I had for you guys is kind of surrounding the other DPS slot that you guys have in your team, and the notable lack of one hero in particular, Emery. Kind of been a very strong character ever since his release at the beginning of this season, but we didn't see you guys roll out on that hero at all tonight, opting instead for the Sojourn or the Ashe on Dorado. So walk me through that, like staying away from that new hero.
Lux, you go ahead there.
It's just not something we've really practiced too much in scrims, and it's just kind of comfort, you know, it's just being very standard. Maybe we'll roll out it more if we practice it more, but we just kind of want to play what we practice.
That's fair.
Yeah, building off of that, our hit scan DPS, main DPS, they're great. They could probably play Emre at this level, but we haven't really practiced them in that team setting just yet. Going forward in scrims, we will be looking into, you know, playing the new heroes more so than we have been. We've been kind of stuck in our ways with, you know, not pushing into that envelope too much.
Yeah, again, a great performance all around for you guys here. But I will say this, and I imagine you guys kind of felt it as well throughout this entire series. It really did feel like Nature's Bloom was getting better throughout this entire series here, especially on New Junction and really on Dorado, where you saw just the focus dive there onto your backline of both Kiwi and Sock. What was the main thing that was kind of going through, or the communication that was going on with the team right there when it was just Kiwi and Sock being the first ones taken out early in those first couple fights there on Dorado?
Yeah, so when we started like going forward like into this match and stuff like that, we kind of had like our own predisposed expectations of how this match was going to go, and it did go the way that we thought it was going to go the first two. And then when Dorado happened and that they started snowballing a little bit at the beginning there in that first point, we weren't scrambling, but there was some overlap communication and rethinking of some plays. But again, we got that holdout, right? So, and we were able to full hold them in between the second point there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and to build off that, I mean, I think we came into this match wanting to play very fast, as you saw from the Samoa game. And as they sort of started adapting to that, being more careful with like our off angles, we also had to slow down a little bit and make sure we didn't outpace our backline. And I think that kind of helped us.
Yeah, it definitely did. We saw that kind of shift there during Dorado. But I want to now talk about your tank. A huge performance from there here tonight. Very flexible throughout. I believe they showed us 4 different tanks throughout this entire map, or this entire series here. Is that something you guys are really trying to build around, having a very flexible team, especially when it comes to that tank line?
Well, tonight we were kind of forced onto the one tank tonight. Usually we have, we're usually doubled up on almost all of our roles. Tonight we were last minute call outs and stuff like that. We were still, you know, obviously able to play our starter 5. But yeah, usually we have our tanks. We have 2 tank players, Couldn't Find and Fulcrum, and they both are pretty set in their with their tank heroes, a little bit able to flex into each other's pools, but they don't really overlap too much. What you saw tonight from Find was essentially his pool. and it was really well rounded off, as you could see.
That's very good to hear. My last question is going to be regarding the match history that you guys have had, because so far you've only dropped 2 matches in this season of CGL, one in the regular season and one in the mid-season bracket. The first was to Dire Triggers and the second was to Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts. So my big question, it's kind of a two-parter. The first is what teams do you really want to play against for in the rest of this season, and the second is how are you preparing for the playoffs to hopefully prevent an early exit like what we saw in midseason?
Yeah, so Unwoke Yaoi, we've scrimmed against them before the midseason, even before I think it was like week 2 or whatever. We ended up scrimming against them, and I didn't even realize it at the time. And when we scrimmed against them and how that turned out, I knew they were going to be a force to reckon with, and I was kind of happy that they were in the other bracket. Dire Triggers, we did lose to them. I'm pretty sure it was we got one map. It was 3-1.
Yes.
That night, I'm not going to chalk it up to like, oh, it was whatever, right? It was a terrible night for the team. They weren't fully locked in, I feel like. We didn't have everyone in place that we needed in place at the time. We were relying on our quote unquote substitutes, not our starters, essentially, for that. And I feel like if we were to go against Dire Triggers again, we would probably be able to pull it even closer, if not win. I'm lost on that one. I'm going to be looking at my coaches to try and get us built up for that match.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to play against Dire Triggers again. I'm excited for whenever we face each other again. And I think just like improving, it's, slow and steady. We just build up our fundamentals and then we expand from there. And I think we just have to be better at that in order to prep for those higher caliber teams.
Yeah, for sure. Last question before I send you two off for the night, but do you have any shout outs you'd like to give on the way out?
Lex, you go first.
I want to shout out my boy, my tank, couldn't find. Absolutely carried me on New Junk City. I'm renaming that map New Junk Find because he just does ungodly things on that map every single time we play it. It's insane. I don't know how he does it.
I am personally going to shout out the organization, Empire. We are, we're not small, but we're building as much as we can, and we're looking for more and more players. So anyone who's looking to join up and join any tier team from 1 all the way up to open queue, we have teams ready and willing to take you on. So we need coaches, managers, everybody in between.
Fire. Well, best of luck to you guys in the future weeks. Best of luck going into the playoffs that you guys have just gotten one step closer to qualifying for. And you two have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, and just like that, Dex, you and I are done here for the evening. It was a fun one for sure. A very quick one, but fun nonetheless. I always love commentating with you, my man. It's always so much fun.
Yeah, it was really fun as well. I really like casting with you as well, Getzer. But still, a really good victory here for EMP. No match found here tonight. Again, just trying to stay as strong as they possibly can. They really feel like they can take it to the team that beat them, not only in the regular season, but Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiast, again, maybe a little bit of a head scratcher there for them, but that should be a fun one if we do see it in the playoffs. However, for Nature's Bloom, I think their backs are now firmly against the wall for their playoff chances. They now have to, I think, win out the season and get some help to be able to get in. But they looked really, really good towards the end of the series here tonight. And I think that's something they have to be able to carry with them into their next game next week.
Yeah, for sure. But until then, we are going to be saying goodbye to you all. The stream will be back tomorrow. I know I'm going to be casting the NA match tomorrow. I believe with Rain, actually. That's going to be a fun one for sure. I'm not sure who's on for the EU match, though. Forgive me. I apologize. I didn't check. I'm not there, therefore I didn't check. But anyway, you slice it. I have been Gedster. This has been my good friend Dexatron, and we will see you all next time.
do, do.